Hello, and welcome to another Tribal Council for Survivor Hamilton Old Meets New. As you can see, we are here once again for the second time in a row with the Kobara tribe. As I mentioned, for the second time in a row, and this one right before the merge, which is happening tomorrow. So they picked a couple bad ones to lose, but here we are. Going a few days back before Thursday's immunity challenge, does anybody want to kind of talk about how the Cowan vote went down and how he ended up going home on the last tribal council? It has to be somebody. Somebody has to answer, so you guys decide.
I think
I'm going to go on a limb.
Go ahead, Kyle.
I'm just going to say he got more votes than the other people. That's really what it came down to.
Thanks, Jordan. Jordan, continue.
I was going to say, obviously, by everybody's eagerness to speak, that was a really easy vote, just a clear one that, was something that was all planned out right from the beginning. I think, every vote so far has been tough. That vote especially was something that I think we all were, not sure exactly where we were going to be going into that vote. So I think for me, it was just, I don't want to speak on anybody else's behalf, but I think everybody votes looking into the future. And I think for now, without, digging into too many specific details, we felt like it was a strong vote for the group, and obviously thinking about the future for this tribe. So that's right. my opinion about that.
Thanks. Graham, you obviously joined Kobara with the intention of working with Cowan. What was it like to see him get voted out the first tribal council that you were back?
It was a surprise. After talking with why everyone felt it was the right decision for them. But what surprised me was that everybody said, and with confidence said, that one thing was going to happen, and that thing being Cowan being safe. And then suddenly everybody so easily turning on Cowan, which was, but obviously everybody else knew it was about to happen. Cowan and I.
Right, so it was like a true blindside. Kyle, I imagine you weren't too surprised at the outcome?
I had a feeling. I had a play, and I didn't know fully if it was going to come through or not. I felt once it went to a revote, I felt good about it. But during the actual vote, I didn't know for sure. So I think my reaction is probably misconstrued as like suck on it, but I didn't really know if it was going to happen. So.
Do you think that there's a legitimate strategy, Kyle, this season to kind of get to a revote position as almost like a safety net to then give you that second chance to make the right decision with some votes eliminated? Because I've noticed there's been a lot of revotes this season.
Yeah, this is all this is new for me, compared to the last game. But I think that, there seems to be, early in the game, there was a focus. I feel like such a clown. I look like a clown, but
you don't have to keep that on if you don't want to. I'm certainly not forcing you.
I'm probably not going to, but I feel like early on there was a really hard push to pull idols out, and then they're not necessarily coming out, right? So I think with a revote, something that's always on my mind is you want to protect against an idol. And then when you get to the revote, you have a clearer path, right? So, and obviously, right. That's what happened. I assume that there was something there with me last week, pulling an idol out, right? And that's what happened, and being able to split the vote 3 ways instead of 2. It gives me a little bit more input into the result, right?
Right.
So
thanks, Kyle. So, Sharon, what do you think happened at Thursday's immunity challenge? How did Kobara get 0 points?
I have no idea. I don't think we do well in matchups because, as you can see, none of our matchups have worked. But I know James answered the same as me, so I think we like both saw the answer the way we answered. So it was kind of, I don't want to say comforting, but I was like less hard on myself, being like, okay, shit, like. And then once Graham had confirmed, yeah, what I had seen, I was like, okay, awesome. That's like my second confirmation, and I hit send. And then Chelsea's like, no, H, and I'm like, shit. But then everyone else had also messed up their answer, so I would have maybe got us 1 point. So I have no idea what happened.
Well, Chelsea, what was your experience?
Don't go to the bathroom at 6:25. So
Or bring your phone with you.
Well, I did, but it didn't load. So my phone still, like, even to get the updated email for this invite, it came through 1 minute after this meeting started. So the irony was you sent the emails at 6:25 on Monday, and then you sent them at 6:25 on Thursday. So literally the exact same. No, I know you did. You don't have to say I don't know.
But that's a coincidence. No, I didn't even know that until now.
Oh, well, FYI, you did. And so, yeah, like I got back and I didn't even open the email until 6:26. And then I'm like reading it and I'm like, where? And then, by the time I was like hitting send, Pittman had already messaged me being like, damn. And he was in at 6:25. So it was kind of like, well, I bombed that one.
Well, part of my assessment, I think, is that when it was Kobara and you were on winning all those challenges in a row, you got really good at teamwork, right? And kind of coordinating as a group how to answer quickly and how to answer correctly. But once everybody started to having to work individually, it's like there hadn't been enough practice doing that maybe all season long. I think that's because it seems like it's just been easier for the other tribes to quickly answer correctly. But we don't want to beat you when you're down on that. But so
I think you do like beating us when we're down a little bit. Just a little.
Not today. It doesn't feel good to for any tribe to lose the tribal council before the merge, to be honest, right? Like, I don't want anybody to go home today, but you have to. Somebody has to. But still, like, it sucks for me for sure. So, Kyle, you had probably a fair amount of time to make a plan for the last vote for Cowan. You mentioned that was something that you'd probably been working on for a little while. This vote, not so much. You really rushed into this probably at the last second. So what is kind of your thought process about today for who to vote for? Because obviously it seems like you're kind of pretty clearly in the middle of two likely pairs.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, these days are always crazy, right? Like, you hear a lot of stuff, and people who you think you're 100% with, like, this is just generally speaking, you think people you're 100% with, and then like you hear something else, and then people are meddling from other tribes, and they're saying, I'm hearing this, I'm hearing that. Can you vote this person? I'll work with you if you do this. And, I think, first of all, my assumption was immediately after the loss, like I figured I was done, right? Like I survived the last one. I played my cards, and I certainly didn't plan on losing like the next one, right? So, and I know, I don't watch all the played episodes, but I watched that one, and like Cowan, I know Cowan's saying stuff like Kyle says he doesn't plan past the next vote and all this other stuff. Well, I mean, you can choose whatever narrative you like. Like, I don't plan past the next vote, so now like I'm in a position where I'm like I have to think about that, and I don't like that. I don't like being in that spot because I like to be reactionary and not proactive. Like, that's my game. Right. My game is react to the situation, not plan it out, because like I think, and Andrew can probably sympathize with this. Because listening to him on the play call, like, he ran the full spectrum, like Kyle and George, Kyle and Chelsea, Kyle and Sharon, Kyle, Jordan, Chelsea, Kyle, Jordan, Sharon, right? Like, he went through every single possible like permutation of what could have happened. And like, if you sit there and like plan out, like, we still got 14 people left, right? Like, how many different combinations am I have to roll through there? So, I mean, I don't even know, man. Like, I spent the whole day like, don't remember the last time like I've been like this fancy or nervous.
Right. Well, it was pretty clear on the last vote that a couple players had your back, basically. Like you said, you could have been a target. You did use an idol. It would have been 2-2-2 if you hadn't.
Yeah.
Did you feel at all, or were you made to feel at all today that you owed anybody a favor, or kind of a payback for that?
I don't think that people make me like feel like I owe them. I think that like intrinsically that's just the way I feel, right? Like it's tough to, we've talked about this like offline, and like, you make promises to people to not vote them. And ultimately you do get into a position where you have to break a promise. And it becomes very, very difficult because you look at, okay, I'm going to break a promise to this person, or I'm going to break a promise to this person, or is there a third or fourth option here that I can do that's going to hurt someone's feelings but doesn't break a promise, right? And like I've been wrestling all day with like my conscience on this, like all day, because again, lying's part of the game, but I've also made like a couple connections here with people like socially outside the game, whatever. Like that I didn't expect to. Like, the first time through, I could stay and do anything I wanted, and there was no repercussion. Right. This is so.
Thanks, Kyle. Sharon, we talked one-on-one a little bit about how your game with Navala, then Kobara, has been a roller coaster. So I wanted to ask you, what was today like? Was it like an up, or was it kind of like a down? How are you feeling today going into this vote?
I don't think I've been this anxious and nervous at a tribal, because I knew this was the one right before merge, right? So the stakes are so much higher, and my name has come up a couple times in different tribals, so it's like this shit's getting real, right? So as the numbers get smaller, the reality is clearer that this could be my time to go home. Obviously, I don't want that. I was supposed to go home in our third tribal, and 3 people flipped, and someone else went home. So it's something that's always been in the back of my mind, and I think this is what my 10th or 11th tribal that I've been to in 7 weeks. Has it been 8 weeks? So let's just say I've drank a lot of alcohol over the last 2 months. So I just try to play the game the best that I know. And that's all I really can do, really. And you just have to trust where you feel like you can trust. And I'm try to be careful where I think I need to be careful. But at the end of the day, my life is in other people's hands. So.
Right. Thanks, Sharon. Chelsea, now that we know that the 4 players on Navala and the 5 from Ulu are already in the merge, there's 9 players there already, and 4 of you are going to join them. How much does your brain go immediately into putting those pieces together and seeing how, the potential 4 of you are going to fit?
Well, I think the question is, like, is it going to be 4 of us that fit, or is it going to be like 3 and 1 of us that fit, or 2 and 2 that fit, right? Like, you have to start looking at what this group looks like when we get to merge and when people are reunited with other people. And so some decisions you're kind of like, and Sharon kind of said, you have to trust where you're going to trust, and you've got to, be wary of where you need to be wary, I guess. But at this point, a lot of people, like, there's a lot of cross-tribe conversations going on, and you're never sure if it's someone who's looking out to, make a friendship or forge an alliance now because they're hoping you're going to make it through. And then, a lot of thought goes into what's on the other side. And I don't think any tribe wanted to be here right now. It just so happened to be Kobara. So, I guess this is the
end. No, not yet. Jeez.
It's so sad.
Wow. Okay. Jordan, Kyle mentioned something interesting when he was talking about you make the promises, and then the game puts you in situations where you have to decide whether either to keep the promise outright or maybe almost like half break, keep it, but make the person unhappy. Do you kind of see it the same way, that you're trying your best to keep promises, but you understand how you might not be able to in every scenario?
How can I follow the dramatics of Chelsea ripping the flag down? Like, where's the producer of this show that cuts to the vote?
That's the editor. That's the editor at the end. You don't have one.
No, to answer your question, Mike, I think if you don't think about stuff like that, either you're just an absolute savage, and maybe that's how you need to be in this game to win, or you're not building the types of relationships where you're actually feeling about, this is going to suck, or I can't believe I have to make this vote tonight, or whatever. So there's always going to be that level of, at some point I'm going to have to make a tough decision, and hopefully, you don't have to make that decision, too many times. And ultimately, it's about how many times you've had that conversation where you make promises, or you make, alliances, or you do these certain types of things where, at some point you will have to tell somebody, look, this sucks, I'm going to have to vote for you, or vice versa, they'll have to vote for you. So, I think it all just depends on the type of person that you are. I think it depends on the type of player that you are. And I also think it depends on the amount of times that you have to go into tribal council. So, I think there's no clear-cut path to the merge. There's no clear-cut path to winning this game. And the only thing that I can say outside of, answering your question is basically, the level of fun right now has definitely been reduced to the amount of stress and anxiety and conversations that you never really wanted to have. So your social experiment, I think, has taken a drastic turn in terms of, where people's minds are, in my opinion, right now.
Understood.
I mean, just to add on to that, like, I think that, the narrative for us has very much been like the tribe, the tribe that's been all about strategy from the beginning. And I think, you get to a point where everyone says this when it depends on the size of the alliance, right? Like, you get people who say they're going to work in a group of 8, or they're going to work in a group of 6 or whatever. But at some point it gets to a point where you have to implode. And, I feel like the strategy that we had was very much contingent on us winning like the last challenge, right? And so maybe we've gotten to a point now where that kind of implosion happens earlier than you want it to happen, and in a way that you don't want it to happen, right? So I don't know.
That's a dark tidings, Kyle. Graham, I hate to bring it up, but last game you were eliminated in the vote before the last vote before the merge. How worried are you on a scale of 1 to 10 that that's going to happen again?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think if any of us on this team aren't worried that we could potentially get voted out, then we're kidding ourselves. It hasn't been a really busy day, a really chatty day, so that always stresses you out a little bit more. But I've had some good conversations today, so I'm hoping I know what's going to happen, but I could be very wrong. So I'd say maybe 5 out of 10 on the scale of being terrified that I'm going to be booted again.
Right. Sharon, how much can you rely on a plan that's made the day before or at the beginning of a day versus needing to kind of keep up with it and check with it throughout the day all the way up until the vote? You know what I mean?
I think you definitely just have to keep checking in as the day progresses, because the one thing I've learned in my first 2 months of playing this ever is things can change very rapidly. So something that may have been planned the day before or the morning of can change. And it can even change within the hour of voting. Like, again, that night that I was supposed to go home, the plan completely changed right before voting was closed. So there were so many people involved in those strategies that it had changed so rapidly. So I think you can't really fully be confident that things are not going to change until 1 minute before voting closes.
Got it. Thanks, Sharon. Does anybody have anything they want to add before we get to the vote? All right. So, as is usual, I'm going to read the votes in a moment, but if anybody has a hidden immunity idol and they want to raise their hand and play it, now would be the time. And as I know already, it's going to be no. So nobody's playing an idol today, so all votes will count. I don't know if there's any surprise there, but that's what's happening. All right. First vote, Sharon. Second vote, Jordan. That's 1 vote Sharon, 1 vote Jordan. Third vote, Sharon. That's 2 votes Sharon, 1 vote Jordan. Fourth vote, Graham. That's 2 votes Sharon, 1 vote Jordan, 1 vote Graham, 1 vote left. Fifth vote, Graham. So we have a tie, 2 votes for Sharon, 2 votes for Graham. They will not do a revote. They will not be part of a revote, but in a moment, Kyle, Chelsea, and Jordan will revote for either Sharon or Graham. Before we do that, I want to give both of them just a minute to speak to the other 3 in the tribe, to state their case as why they should be kept in the merge. Graham, you can go first.
Jesus. Not quite what I was expecting, but certainly something that I was afraid of. I think I'm really only talking to Kyle and Jordan right now. Pretty sure Chelsea's not going to vote with me, but that'd be amazing if she did. So I'm hoping that 2 of you and ideally 3 of you will vote for Sharon, save me. I think that I bring a lot of value long term. There are a lot of people that I have potential relationships with that I think could help us all long term. But I mean, I guess we'll just have to see.
Okay, thank you. Graham, you're going to mute, and Sharon, you'll go now.
I mean, I think a lot of what Graham said, I feel the same way. I hope that all 3 people would want me to stick around. I think I've added a lot of value over the last couple of weeks. I think I've proven that I can walk through the fire. I think I've been able to handle a lot of ups and downs, twists and turns, and I'm definitely one that is super active in the game and willing to do whatever it takes to keep it going. So I think all I can say is I just hope that I have proven the fight that I've fought this far, I'm willing to continue to do, and I'm willing to keep working with those who are willing to fight with me.
Awesome. Thanks, Sharon. Thank you both for indulging us in doing that. So now, Kyle, Chelsea, and Jordan, you can each send me a WhatsApp message with your vote. Please try to keep your chat amongst yourselves to a minimum and just send me your votes so that we can get right to it. Okay, I have the 3 votes. So I will now read those votes. So between Sharon and Graham, the player who receives 2 votes or more will become the 17th player, I believe, voted out of the game, and the last player to go to Exile Island before the merge. I'll read the votes. First vote, Sharon. Next vote, Graham. Last vote, 17th person voted out of Survivor Hamilton Old Meets New is Graham. So, Graham, you stick around. Jordan's already dropped. Kyle, Sharon, Chelsea, enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm gonna send you an invite. We're gonna do a merge video tomorrow night. Okay? Congratulations. Lots of big moves. Well done. Congrats, Sharon, especially. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Sorry, Graham.
Bye.
Love you, buddy.
Sorry, Graham.